Thank you very much, Jutta Almendinger, for this passionate call to action. And so, thank you, Anne-Marie Descotes and Anne-Gabrielle Halbonner, who are going to join you a bit later. If you want to read, and I invite you to read this call to action because I've read it, and it's very precise. There are lots of arguments, so you can have it online on the website, or you have a QR code that you can. I think the QR code must be. We have different. I think when you go back to for the lunch or for the break, you will find the QR code and you can download it from there. So we're going now to go on with the first session, which is not exactly a panel. It's a session on STEM, and as we mentioned just before, we lack of women in STEM, which is a big pity. The Women Forum has developed working groups gathering companies, international institutions, NGOs, and experts to engage for long-term positive impacts on gender issues, called the Daring Circles. Among them is the Women4STEM Daring Circle, promoting the increase of the representation, leadership, and impact of women in STEM. So today I'm calling Ashley Dartnell, Global Director for Diversity, Equity and Inclusion at BCG, and Sophie Lambin, CEO and founder at Kite Insights, who will present the circle, the Daring Circle. Please welcome them.
Just pop up. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nobody's coming here down. Everybody's taking the big step.
We're taking the big step.
Well, it's like the women's, call to action. We have to go the big step. But there are little steps too.
We're big stepping women.
Thank you, Virginie. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Good morning. Thank you. And thank you, Anne-Gabrielle, for setting the scene so well to the conversation that we're going to have now with Ashley. So my name is Sophie Lambin. I'm the CEO and founder of Kite Insights and the founder of the Climate School. More recently, I'm also here representative as the editorial advisor of the Women's Forum for the Economy and Society. So it's my great pleasure to welcome you, Ashley. Welcome. As Virginie said, you are the Director of Diversity, Equity and Inclusion at BCG. You started your career in New York 30 years ago. You've lived in London for 30 years as well. And more recently, you came back to BCG to head the international campus of recruiting until you took this new job as head of DNI. So as Virginie said, the Daring Circles at the Women's Forum are those sort of multi-stakeholder working group. We're really trying to take the commitment of action of the Women's Forum to the next level by bringing together our partners, our NGO partners, and also academia to really advance our understanding and our ability to act on some of those issues. BCG is the knowledge partner of this Daring Circle that we're going to be talking about here. And generally speaking, our ambition is really to highlight how women tend to be disproportionately impacted by issues, but also how they are disproportionately impactful. And in this case of the Women4STEM Daring Circle, our aim is really to increase women representation, leadership, and impact across the whole pipeline from school to boardroom, and really create a strong connection between STEM skills, the access to high-quality job, and the ability of women to drive positive societal impact on those issues. So, Ashley, my first question to you is, what are we here to talk about today? We are about to launch an important piece of research that BCG has been leading on. Can you just tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. Really lovely to be here, and hope that you find this day as inspiring as I'm sure that I will. This is my third Women's Forum event that I've been to, and each of them is better than the last. So really, really excited for the whole agenda for the day. So, okay, so Sophie, what are we here for today in our 15 minutes of fame here? So, as you mentioned, we've been working together. Susanna here in the audience has been leading us in this research. And what we've done over the past few months is we've interviewed 30 people in depth, and we've surveyed 1,500 men and women across France, Germany, Italy, and the UK, the four largest economies in Europe. And the goal of that exercise was to determine what it is that gets people and gets women specifically into leadership in tech. And this parallels some research that we did in the US last year. BCG has done a number of different articles around women in tech, which are all available on the website if that's something that interests you. And this is basically the reason we're here today, is to talk about this research. The article has just come out. You'll find it on the Women's Forum Berlin conference website if you want to read it. And if you want to read a summary of it, it will be on bcg.com. So, but in the meantime, we'll tell you about it. So.
Thank you, Ashley. I mean, Anne-Gabrielle sort of set the scene very well for us just now, but tell us why this sort of representation of women in STEM is such an important topic for companies.
Yeah, it's, so, okay, without getting too grandiose, this is a really important time in history. We're at the cusp of the fourth industrial revolution. And, you know, the first one was when we went from the Stone Age to the Iron Age. The second is when we went from animal and water power to steam power. The third is when we went from steam to electricity. And now we are moving into the digital revolution, the technology revolution. And this is the first time in the history of the world that women have the opportunity to lead this revolution. And it's really important that we take that charge and we ride that wave, whatever the analogy is that we want to use. But I don't want us to miss out on this industrial revolution, as we've missed out on the previous industrial revolutions. For structural reasons, women were not in leadership positions over the course of history. And so that's the importance of this particular moment in time. And tech is leading that revolution. Tech is an incredibly important industry. It's an industry that is doing the most important things in the world at this point. All the things that the people on the podium have mentioned previously around health, education, climate change. The world will be changed irredeemably over this next few generations as a result of tech, as it has been in the past. And I have reams of statistics, some of which have already been kind of mentioned. But in terms of the opportunities in tech, you know, the World Economic Forum has predicted that 9 out of 10 of the most attractive jobs over the next few years will be in tech. If you just look at the huge size, the scale of tech, if you take the 5 biggest companies, you take Apple, Alphabet, Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta, their market cap is $7.5 trillion. If you compare that to the GDP of Germany and France, that's $6.1 trillion. Just the market cap of Apple is the same as the GDP of Italy. These companies are marathon, huge monsters, and they are creating the world we're living in. And we have to be part of it, and we're not right now. Only 20% of the people who are studying technical subjects right now are women. Only 20 to 25% of the people who are in positions in tech right now are women. We've got to change that. And we as individuals have to change it, and we as companies have to change it. You know, there's an economic rationale for companies. So beyond just doing the right thing, companies do have an economic imperative. If companies, for example, the Wall Street Journal recently released figures, if a company has 30%, tech companies, if women comprise 30% of their leadership, they're 15% more profitable. That's a 1 percentage point increase in their net profits. That's huge. It seems pretty basic. Let's get women in senior positions in tech. So I could go on, yeah, no, but you probably have more questions to ask me.
Yeah, no, I feel the passion, and it reminds me of something that the L'Oréal Foundation often says about science. You know, the world needs science, and science needs women. And you're saying something very similar about, you know, tech is shaping the world, and women needs to be part of how we shape it. So, if we move now to the research and some of the finding of what it revealed, what would you say was the most surprising, interesting finding?
Okay, before I get to the surprising one, which you and I don't think is surprising, but okay, so just the foundation is like getting to the top in tech is hard, right? It's not easy to get to the top in any field. So the characteristics of the people who get to the top, whether they be men or women, are on some dimensions similar. So first and foremost, there is a level of expertise in tech subjects or tech adjacent subjects. Second of all, people who succeed are relatively high risk takers. So they are people who feel comfortable taking challenges, and they feel comfortable extrapolating those challenges to their careers. So they move jobs a lot, they move functions a lot, they move geographies a lot, and they're willing to kind of take it on. And then third, and then this is the part that Sophie thinks that people, but I am absolutely sure there's not one single person in this room who will think this is surprising. There is absolutely zero ambition gap between men and women in tech leadership. What that means, yay! So, what that means is that women are as ambitious as men to get ahead. In fact, in Europe, what we found was that women are more ambitious than men. Of the women we surveyed, 47% of them are looking to get a promotion in the next 1 to 3 years, whereas only 42% of the men are. And then when they get old, and I can vouch for this, they're even more ambitious. Once women get to 50, they are 50% more likely to be looking for a promotion versus men of 50 who are only 30%. So women are as ambitious. This whole myth about the ambition gap is just rubbish. I could use stronger language there.
I think we have 5 more minutes.
Oh, 5 more minutes? No.
Okay. I had the impression it was less, but okay, go on, please.
Thank you. Because I think we need to get to the recommendations.
Get to the recommendations, yes.
I think,
but we have to talk about at least one, the challenges. I'll do it really quickly.
So tell us about one of the key challenges.
Okay, so there are 3 challenges, but I promise I'll do it super quickly. So the first challenge is the challenge of caretaking. So women disproportionately have to take care of kids, family members, parents, etc. And it is a huge difference. And what we find is that it has a huge impact on people's careers. The second impact is the fact that women feel that they have to work harder to get the credibility. So, and particularly in the field of tech, that they are not trusted on their tech expertise. And this came out over and over again in the interviews we did. And women, to some extent, felt that there was a stealth element of they could come in and really bomb people because they did have the expertise. And then the third is the network effect. Because there are so few women in tech, they don't have the network, the mentors, etc., to support them in their career journeys. Okay.
So can you maybe
speed taking?
Yes, I think we should think about what would you recommend women that are looking to get those jobs in tech, and what has the research revealed?
Yeah. So so what I would say for women who are looking to get into tech is to do it. It's an incredibly, as I've just described, it's an incredibly powerful area where you can have huge impact. So if you have a predisposition to STEM subjects, definitely get a degree in computer science, learn to code, pursue that. The market will value you extremely highly. You'll do really, really important work. If you're not, and this is one thing that came out super clearly in our interviews, if you are not a STEM person, don't despair. There are a huge number of jobs in tech adjacent subjects. You can go into sales, you can go into marketing. If you want to go into a functional area, you can go into HR, recruiting, finance, and you can ride the wave of this amazing tech revolution in other areas. So that's the first thing.
Yep. Great. I've just been told 3 minutes to go.
3 minutes.
So what is, would you say, the key recommendation you make into companies to create the conditions for women to thrive and lead in tech?
2 things. First is to get the caregiving situation sorted. And that's one of the recommendations that is being made to the G7. But we have to get it sorted structurally. The second recommendation I would make is to set up the networks internally, the ecosystem that's required to help women succeed. So put in the mentorship programs, put in the sponsorship programs, put in the affiliation groups, and really make an effort to hire women and then to support them once they're there. And then the final thing, and this is something that I have a great deal of personal experience with, is get the leadership of your company to support this. That is the crucial element of getting diversity in general, but in this case, gender diversity at the highest levels in your company. And I can tell you in infinite detail about the work that we've done at BCG to do that, but that's the key thing.
Great. Ashley, thank you so much. I think what I will take out from these findings is first, there's no ambition gap, and women's ambition grows with age, which I quite like as an idea. And second, that you don't necessarily need to have STEM skills to thrive in a tech job. And I think the opportunity of upskilling, which is another piece of research we did with BCG, which is also in our G7 recommendation, is actually, I think, a real opportunity for anyone who is looking to move into a tech job. So with this, I invite you all to go and check out this article and study.